After a week of being more familiar with trains and the Shinkansen, I tried another transportation mode. I took an intercity AC bus to Kyoto, while my friend got there earlier. The bus stopped twice to rest. Inside the bus, there are toilets and dispensers complete with coffee sachets. They dropped me off on a quiet road like a highway. But there is a passage that turns out to be another way. It is evening. The road is quiet and looks like a residential complex. But there is a red light under the tunnel. I waited until a car passed, then quickly asked for directions to the local station in Japanese before the light changed. The driver was fortunate to indicate a direction. I asked multiple times and eventually made it to the deserted small station, where I purchased a local train ticket for Kyoto Station. The crowd at Kyoto Station was lucky for me. Arriving at the station, I showed the inn address we had previously booked and asked people. As we suspected, the owner is Indonesian and married a Japanese woman. So we can borrow bicycles, washing machines, stoves, irons, and others. He also guided us free to Kinkakuji, Gion, and historical places in Kyoto. On the streets, some people rent kimonos and take geisha-style photos. I prefer nature over history, which is why I love walking by a clear river on a road during sunset. I also took a picture of a homeless person under the bridge. Homeless people in Japan are surprisingly clean. I wasn't sure whether the person in front of me was truly homeless or just plain eccentric. But looking at the cans he collects in a box, it looks like he's a scavenger. The box for the bottles and cans are also clean. He made a go-ahead gesture when I wanted to take a picture of the box. The next day I cycled and saw the residents' activities at the market. I also bought souvenirs in Kyoto in the legendary Hyakuin shop. Although in Kyoto, the prices are slightly higher. While my two traveling companions continued shopping and stayed longer in Kyoto for one more day. I decided to go to Osaka first because I had an appointment with my former lecturer there. On the way to Osaka, I asked the passengers on the train which station was correct. He apologized because he didn't know either. From the conversation and body language with their friends, seems they had just returned from a tour and were about to get off at the next station. What I didn't expect, because he felt bad that he couldn't help me, he gave me a jumbo-sized Kumamon doll. I am amazed. His friends also seemed surprised. It looked like he was happy because he found a foreigner who could speak Japanese. An expensive gift for a stranger on the train blows my mind. I asked for his address to return his gift, but he refused, smiled, bowed, clenched his fist, and said "Ganbat" before leaving. Bringing a doll the size of a toddler sitting down is quite eye-catching. Someone greeted me because he was also from Kumamoto. When he asked in English, and I answered in Japanese, he was even more surprised. We then exchanged email addresses. The Japanese are workaholics. Even at 11 o'clock in the evening, the station was still busy. I arrived in Osaka near midnight. But when I asked the inn address, a young man who seemed to have just worked overtime took me to the front door of the apartment we rented. Though he must be exhausted. Who thanks such kind people? He made sure I arrived safely and then left. When asking for an address, I usually write it down in hiragana and a little kanji. Just in case my pronunciation is wrong, the people I ask can still see the writing and show the proper route. The next day I made an appointment with my lecturer, Muranishi Sensei. Sensei treated me to a meal at the Nikko Osaka Hotel and took me to Osaka Castle. I'm so happy to meet Sensei again. I noticed one thing while eating at the restaurant at the Nikko Osaka Hotel. Because I asked for halal food, it wasn't just the meat or spices that the waiter asked whether it was permissible, but also a long list of whether I had an allergy to nuts or specific ingredients. The standard of service is extraordinary and amazed me. We returned to Jakarta by train directly to Kansai Airport the next day. This airport was built on an artificial island. I watched the airport in awe, also with goodbye, marking my return to my homeland.